welcome back to Howling Around. Today, I want to talk about those rare situations where staying friends with an ex might work, and even then, it usually still does not make much sense. I want to start off with something that matters for context. In general, being close friends with a woman, especially a woman that you are attracted to, which is, as a guy speaking, I think pretty much most women, that's already a very bad setup for most men, myself included. Not always, but often, and the reason is simple. A lot of the time, men do not just want friendship. There is attraction, there is sexual interest, or there is at least the hope that something more could happen one day. Even if that hope is small, it usually is there. And I can't speak for women, but I think women have somewhat of the same, you know, things going through their minds. Now, that doesn't make men dishonest or manipulative. It makes men, makes them human. And when you stay friends with a woman, especially if you are attracted to her, you are often putting yourself in a position where you are emotionally invested, without getting what you actually want. You are close, you are available, and you are involved while secretly hoping things might change. That dynamic is already questionable with a new woman. When you apply it to your ex, it becomes even more ridiculous. With an ex, there is history, there is intimacy, there are memories, there is emotional attachment, and pretending that all of that just disappears just because the label changed from, partner to friend, doesn't make any sense. So when people say, let's stay friends, what they often really mean is, I'm not ready to fully let go yet. That's why, in most cases, staying friends with an ex is a pretty bad idea. It keeps emotional doors open that should be closed. Now, with that said, there are rare cases where it can work, but the conditions are somewhat strict and most people just do not meet them. The first condition, I think, is time. A lot of time should pass, not weeks, not even a couple of months. I'm talking maybe years. Enough time, at least, for the emotional charge to be gone. You are not wondering what your ex is doing. You are not checking her social media. You are not hoping she will reach out. And if you're still curious or bitter, nostalgic, or even hopeful, then you are simply not ready. And at that point, you are still attached. I think a second condition would be emotional neutrality. This is important. Emotional neutrality means you genuinely do not care if your ex dates someone else. Not to say you do not care, but that you actually do not feel anything when you think about it. The idea of her being with someone else, it shouldn't bother you because staying friends with her and, having that bother you will hurt you, even if you pretend otherwise. A third condition, I think, is that neither of you wants the relationship back. This is where people lie to themselves most. Many men agree to stay friends because they think it keeps the door open when the door is closed on her side. They call it patience or maturity, but in reality, they are waiting and torturing themselves. That's not friendship, that's hope in disguise. Another important factor is the type of relationship you had with her. If the relationship involved cheating, manipulation, disrespect, or constant conflict, then staying friends almost never works because you will continue all of that. You are not preserving something healthy. You are keeping access to something that already caused you a lot of pain. So boundaries also matter a lot. A real friendship with an ex does not look like a relationship without sex. You are not texting her every day. You are not each other's emotional support. You are not sharing details about dating or loneliness. If you are still emotionally leaning on each other, then you are not friends. You are still bonded. One situation where staying friends can sometimes work is when the breakup was mutual, which it usually isn't. And maybe the timing was wrong. Maybe life pulled you in different directions. There should not have been any betrayal or, drama really. And even then, a distance usually comes first, time and distance. Another situation when it could work is You know, if there is an external reason to stay in contact, then, you pretty much have no reason to uh, do not be friends. Well, friends is maybe a big word there. But that would be if you have, shared friends or, you work together or you have children together. In those cases, the goal is not closeness. I don't even think that the goal should be stay friends or become friends. The goal should be respect and calm interaction with each other and not emotional intimacy. Now, here's a simple test that helps clarify things, I think. And that is ask yourself, how would you feel if your ex talked to you about the new guy that she's dating? If that thought makes you uncomfortable or affects your mood, then friendship is definitely not a good idea right now. Another test is asking whether staying friends is helping you move forward or keeping you emotionally anchored to the past. If it is slowing down your healing process or your dating life, then it's not going to work. And here's something men really need to hear. You do not get points for staying friends with your ex. You don't. It does not make you mature. It does not make you stronger. Sometimes the healthiest move is walking away completely and cutting all ties. If a genuine friendship ever happens, it should feel light, it should feel optional, it shouldn't feel loaded, complicated, or emotionally charged. And it should not interfere with your ability to form new relationships. For most men, especially when attraction is involved, that level of neutrality takes a long time. For many, I think myself included, it never really arrives. Because, yeah, well, there is always that X effect. I don't think that will ever go away. That doesn't mean that you failed. It just means that your relationship mattered to you. So, yes, staying friends with an ex can work in, well, those two rare cases if enough time has passed and there is no emotional connection whatsoever that, attaches to what once was. Or, if you're basically forced to, be in each other's life because of mutual friends or work or children. But then I wouldn't speak of friends. I would say, just have a normal understanding, a normal relationship where you communicate with each other. And, you know, I think in those cases it might work, but when you already know that being just friends with someone you are attracted to is usually a bad deal, staying friends with an ex, I think, makes even less sense. So there you have it. Sometimes the cleanest ending is the healthiest one. So that's it for today. I hope it's helpful, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye bye.